in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You are tuned into the Charlie Rocket Show. I am your host, Charlie Rocket. Feel that energy flowing right here? Yeah, so what you're feeling is about to be one of the best podcast episodes ever made in the history of the world. Right here. Because I have something that I've been wanting to share with the world about marketing that I've been wanting to share for a very, very long time. And I've always held it in. If you follow me on Instagram, you notice I don't talk about business very often. But y'all know who I used to be. I used to be CEO Charlie. I transformed into Charlie Rocket. I became an athlete. But CEO Charlie, he's taken over today. And he is going to give you some theories and some strategies that may be the best ever in the history ever shared. I'm going to turn these theories into books. But first, you are getting it right here on the Charlie Rocket Show. I'm so glad you're here. I've got an amazing episode planned for you guys today. So let's get this party started. Once again, this is Charlie Rocket, a.k.a. CEO Charlie, a.k.a. Mr. Manhattan Beach, a.k.a. Tulax, Cadillac Chuck, Knick Knack, Paddywhack, Chucky got a Cadillac. I am in Las Vegas, Nevada right now, and I'm looking out my hotel window as I record this podcast. I see the beautiful mountains, and what's amazing is this hotel room at the SLS. It costs $50, so I'm getting such an amazing deal. I told myself I'm on a winning streak. I am on a winning streak. When you got a hotel room for $50, you come to Las Vegas to do a podcast interview with somebody who's amazing. His name is Brad Lee. That will be coming out soon. I mean, I'm just on a winning streak. So I'm feeling good this morning, even though I was just throwing up about an hour ago. It was really weird because I don't feel sick, but something crazy was happening in my body. But I could not do this episode because this is literally going to be life-changing. If you know anybody in your life who is an aspiring entrepreneur, a business owner, or who is just into great things like marketing and business and success, then this is going to be an amazing podcast for you. Recently, Stan Lee passed away. And I'm extremely, extremely fascinated by this man. I mean, you've got a grown man who has an imagination to create characters. I can relate because when I was young, I created a character named CEO Charlie. He was going to be my superhero that made me successful. And then when I got successful and I was 305 pounds and diagnosed with a brain tumor, I said, I need to create a superhero that's going to make me an athlete. So I created Charlie Rocket, and I put my glasses on and my bandana, I had my outfit, and I became an athlete. So Stan Lee was the GOAT, aka the greatest of all time, at creating these superheroes, and that led me to find out one of the greatest theories I've ever thought of in my life when it comes to business. I did a Google search. I said, what is the top grossing superhero franchise in the world? I found this USA Today article and it broke it down. It said Spider-Man. And I was like, Spider-Man? Out of all the superheroes, Spider-Man. Then I thought about it. Why? Why would Spider-Man be number one? Well, he doesn't have strong muscles. He doesn't have a chiseled chin. His aunt couldn't pay the rent. He had all sorts of life problems going on. Just a regular guy. And I said to myself, is that the secret? Is being a regular guy who has problems the secret to massive success? And I said, I don't know, maybe it's a fluke. So then it led me to another Google search. and it's about religion. I said, what is the number one religion in the world? Now put all religious views aside. This isn't number one based on opinion. I'm just going off of stats of followers. And it's Christianity. Number one. Okay. Why? I asked myself. Well, you got Jesus here. He's a lot like Spider-Man. He was a carpenter. He associated with all the poor people. He wasn't exactly fancy. And he wasn't popular either. He only had about 12 followers. And I'm thinking to myself, the most influential man in the history of the world was a carpenter who had 12 followers. And that's when I came up with this theory for marketing. And I call it the I am you theory. And I want to turn it into a movement, the I am you movement. But this I am you theory is pretty much the opposite of how we operate in today's culture. In today's culture, this is what we do. Let's take social media, for example. You go to somebody's page, you basically see a long list of reasons why that person is so perfect. So they're telling the world, I'm not like you. I'm not like you. I'm not like you. That's why you should follow me. Where the greatest things in the world are, I'm just like you. I'm just like you. I'm just like you. That's why you should follow me. How can this spectrum be so opposite? And I said, hold on. Does this I am you theory hold true with the business? If it can hold true with the business, maybe I can write a book about this and call it the I am you theory. So I did another Google search and come to find out the biggest company in the world is Apple. And I said, let me break down the dichotomy of this. I look at the CEO, Steve Jobs, the first CEO to take off the suit. He was just like us. I mean, he looked just like my dad. Tucked his shirt in, had a little sweater, blue jeans. He wasn't trying to be some powerful boss behind the desk. When he passed away, I mean, people are crying. People are in the streets making memorials. And I'm like, is it an accident that the biggest company in the world was run by a guy who was not trying to be some big CEO? He was just trying to be a regular dude. And then I thought about it. Well, hold on, Charlie. Like, don't get ahead of yourselves. This has to be more complex than him not wearing a suit. And I said, does the I am you theory hold up for products? I mean, how could it? And then I looked into it, and his first computer is called Lisa. I'm like, wow, my eyes are opening up. My brain is stimulated. I'm like, okay, this might be something. He didn't name his products Inspiron 3000. He named it Lisa. He named his software Macintosh, human names. So we feel like we're dealing with something personal. And then his greatest breakthrough product really takes the I am you theory to the next level. He named it the iPod, and then the iPhone, and the iTunes, and the iMac. And he took that I and he made it so relatable. And if you look at the greatest commercial he ever created, it was this dark commercial. And it was almost like this evil dictator was up on the screen, and everybody is marching in these black outfits. And then this girl with a red dress comes and throws a sledgehammer at the screen, because what Apple represented was that Apple was empowering for us, fighting against the big corporation, the machines, that Apple positioned itself as us. And that I am you theory holds true for all the greats. Michael Jordan. The reason why he was the greatest? He was the scrawny kid from North Carolina who got cut by his basketball team. Kobe Bryant was the Black Mamba. He was always alone and always intense. That's nothing like us. LeBron James was physically perfect from childhood. That's nothing like us. That's why they're not the greatest, because they didn't have that failure story. Why is Oprah maybe the most influential woman in the world? Well, she has something where she never got to the finish line. She's just like us. She's been overweight. We've seen her up, we've seen her down, we've seen her struggle, but she's still not at the finish line to this day. In her past, everything she went through with her abuse, she's just like us. I am you theory. Like this is something that the biggest authors in the world on marketing have missed. And it's more prevalent today than ever. Social media and corporations, everybody's trying to be so perfect. When in yet, the secret to massive success is to be just like everybody. It's also being called authentic. Maybe we should be ourselves a little bit more and tell the stories, the real stories of things we're going through, and not try to cover it up by being perfect. That is the I am you theory, and that sets the tone for what you're about to get into in this podcast. This episode right here is me sharing my ideas, my theories, and my strategies of how I've become successful in my life. And I know this will change somebody else's. I know this podcast will change people's lives. If I can change how somebody operates their business, they can go from maybe not being able to pay their bills to having massive success and to be able to hire other people and that changes their lives. So it can all start right here with this podcast. Okay, guys, I am back. In every episode, I am always going to talk about something I am personally going through or experiencing in my life. And I released my podcast this week. I was scared to death. I looked at my podcast microphone for 9 months, and the scariest thing to me was not being good at it. Here I am, this successful person, and when you start something new, you have to not be successful. And I remember I recorded my first episode. I just had to do it, and I put it out, and it was a Saturday afternoon, and I was doing all this Google search. What's the best day to release a podcast episode? And it said Monday. Monday are the most popular days for podcasts. And I'm thinking to myself, but it's Saturday. Charlie, don't be stupid by waiting. Like, why wait? Like, you can get so much done in the next few days if you just go now. Like, okay, Monday's the perfect day, but who cares about perfect? Like, let's just go ahead and do it today. And by the time Monday comes, maybe you would have gotten a lot done, or at least you got started. And I put it out, and I wrote this little note in my notebook and put it on Instagram. And I said, I have been terrified to release this podcast because I'm afraid of not being good. I don't know if anybody's going to listen. I don't know if people are going to like it. And I just put it out. And the next thing I know, it started getting great reviews. Like, people are hitting me up. Oh my goodness, Charlie, like, this is actually really, really good. And I started climbing the charts. And so I'm like, wow, like, I really have a shot at this thing. I've got to start messaging people. I've got to get this word out. Like, I caught that positive momentum, and I was like, wow, like, I've got to tell as many people as I can. And that took me right back to the mentality of when I got started in the music industry, and we would release our first few little songs on the internet. Back then it was on MySpace. And I came up with these philosophies and these theories with how I would do marketing. The first one is called boiling a pot of water. My first group, Travis Porter, my first successful group, my first group that was loyal to me and didn't fire me, their name was Travis Porter. And I remember we got added to this teen party, and we were on the flyer, and it was our first time being on the flyer, and it was our party, and I was so excited about it. And we went to the party, and nobody was there. Absolutely nobody. I'm just thinking to myself, this is the most embarrassing thing ever. Here we are, kind of somebody, and yet nobody showed up. I remember I went home that night. I got on my computer and I said, that will never, ever happen again. I said, I need to dominate that neighborhood where that club was located because I want to pack it out. Nobody showed up. And yet, I never want to have that happen again in my life. So I got on MySpace and I started pulling up people who know that party promoter. And I added them as friends and personally messaged them with my group's music. I spent an hour. I spent 2 hours. I spent 3 hours. And I said, I'm going to boil a pot of water. And this little pot of water is going to become so hot. Now, in marketing, so many of us, we try to boil lakes. We start our business and we want to go market to the entire world. Well, let me ask you, if I were to ask you to go boil a lake right now, would it be possible? Absolutely not. I don't care how much time you spend, you're not going to figure it out. But if I asked you to boil a pot of water, you'd be like, yeah, that's easy. Okay, well, what happens if you take that pot of water that's boiling and you add a little bit more water to it? Now it's a bigger pot of water and it gets boiling easy. Now take that bigger pot of water and add some water to it. Now you got an extra large pot of water and it's boiling easily. So technically you could work your way all the way up to a lake if you just start with a pot of water. And that is exactly what I did with Travis Porter. I was living in my mom's basement. We just got done doing a show where nobody showed up to the club. And I said, I'm going to boil this pot of water. I'm going to take this party promoter. I'm going to hit up every single person who he knows and let him know about our music. I would spend 8 hours a day messaging people on MySpace. Now, when you're broke and you live in your mom's basement, all you got is time and you got MySpace. Both of those things were free. Didn't cost me a penny. And that's what I did, 8 hours a day, hand message. And Travis Porter, they started moving up the charts on MySpace, unsigned top charts. Now the other party promoters, they're starting to reach out, wanting to book us. Now our parties are getting packed. Now Travis Porter has a song on the radio, and I'm just running the play. I'm not trying to come up with some grandioso formula for success. I just wanted to find one play that I could run over and over and over. And the goal is to be hot. Whether you're an artist, a YouTube star, a business, a product, a service, I don't care. The goal is to be hot. And if we're trying to boil a lake, we're never going to get hot. But we would go from being hot in one club to being hot on one side of town to being hot in the whole city to being hot in the state to being hot in the region to being hot up the East Coast. And then we became hot all across the country. All because I would boil water. I'm doing the same thing with my podcast right now. I said, okay, I see us moving up these charts. People like it. But I need to run one play over and over. I need to boil water. I need something that I can control. So I said, I'm going to message 500 people a day by hand. Each one of, and a lot of you guys who are listening to this know you got a message from me. And so many people reach out to me, oh, Charlie, I thought that was a bot. And I'm like, no, I'm passionate about this. I'm not going to wait to get reviewed by some big podcast review or wait for iTunes to feature me. No, I'm going to boil my pots of water. I'm going to do my 500 a day. 500 people a day. Yes, that takes hours and hours and hours to have those conversations. But if I want to be successful at this, that's what I'm going to do. And next thing you know, there's going to be little pockets that get hot. And then I add to it. Tomorrow is going to be another 500. That's adding to that boiling pot of water. Then I'm going to add 500 more. And now that pot of water is starting to become a pond. Then it becomes a lake. Then it becomes an ocean. And it's going to be boiling. And I said, I'm going to do this for 3 to 6 months. I'm just going to run the play. When I say run the play, this is what I mean. Say you're a football team and you have a play that the other team could never possibly stop. They can't stop it. If you ran it, it's going to work every time. That's what I look for in business. I look for that one play that I can just run. And you would say to yourself, well, why would you ever run a different play? You shouldn't. Hand messaging people is what I call mom status marketing. And this is another theory. So far we've got the I am you theory. We've got boiling water theory. And now I'm about to break down to you the mom status marketing theory. Who is the closest person in our lives? Our mom. I ask myself, why? Why does our mom support us like nobody else? Well, we're connected to our mother. Figuratively and literally. Like we came from her. That if I wanted to go sing a song, my mom would say, oh, my baby, I'm so proud of you. The song would be terrible. But why does our mom love everything we do? Because that's the closest person in our life. It cannot get any more connected to us than our mother. So my goal in business is to take somebody who is a complete stranger and move them closer to mom status. So all of my marketing efforts, whether it was in hip hop, whether it's me doing a podcast or me becoming an athlete, all of my efforts are to take a complete stranger and move that person closer to mom status. And what we have to do is we have to study the dichotomy of how to make a friend. It's called, to me, I call it human mimicry. Why do businesses act like businesses? Businesses should act like humans. I want as many moms to support me as possible. And hopefully you're not getting confused by what I'm saying when I say moms. I don't mean actual moms. I mean somebody who cares about me like my mother does, that will support everything I do. So that means we have to form a connection. And there's only a couple ways to form a real connection with a customer or a fan. The first is to communicate with that person. Period. You cannot have a connection with somebody. You cannot share energy with somebody unless you literally go and share the energy. See, energy is transferable. And once you have a connection with somebody, you're able to share with that somebody. Now you move them a step closer. But that energy can be good energy or bad energy. And then that's where the I am you theory comes into place. If you want that energy to be good, that person has to say, wow, I can relate to this person. So in your business or in your brand, if you're always being so perfect, yes, that's aspirational to people. It is aspirational. But that's the shallow end of the pool. Wouldn't a pool suck if it only had a shallow end? It wouldn't be any fun to swim in. It's only shallow. So you got to have a deep end. Sometimes you have to have a shallow end in order to get somebody's attention because it's easy. It's easy to get in the shallow end because you know you're not going to drown. But if you want that real connection, you need a deep end as well. You got to have that balance. So after you communicate with somebody, now you have to let them know you're real. And that needs to be built within all of your company, with all of your brand and everything about marketing. If you notice with me, go on my Instagram. You'll see I talk about when I'm depressed. You'll see I talk about when I'm afraid to take my shirt off. I'll tell you the good and I'll tell you the bad. All of it's authentic. But that's that I am you theory. I'm just like everybody. Like 7 out of 10 people in this country are overweight. Why would I only show pictures at the good angle to where I look skinny? Okay, so boom, I'm going to get in the mirror. I'm going to do the angle that makes me look skinny every time. That wouldn't relate to 70% of the people in the world. You're eliminating so much. And when you're real and when you're authentic, well, that's when massive success happens. You move somebody closer to that mom status when they form that empathy for you. You get the communication going by boiling those pots of water. I am you theory, boiling pots of water, and mom status marketing. These are the secrets to massive, massive success, and nobody's talking about it. It is time to flip the paradigm on how social media works. I believe social media 1.0, because social media is still new. Let's just be clear here, especially Instagram. The internet at one time was new, and guess what we did? We would click on those banner ads that had the little target going left and right, and we would like fall for that. And then we got smart and said, oh, well, I'm not going to click on those anymore because that's just an advertisement. I thought it was a game at first. Well, social media 1.0 was I'm so perfect. And guess what? Everybody's catching on to it. Everybody's catching on that you're just trying to portray this perfect life. And I'm not going for it anymore. I want something real now. I don't want to click on those stupid banner ads anymore. I want some real content. And I believe social media 2.0 is going to be built off of this I am you theory concept. Because if you want to actually just look at the data, the posts that I post that are the most real are the most popular. So if everybody out there is trying to be popular, well, guess what? You've been doing it wrong this entire time. It's time for you to take a page out of Spider-Man's notebook. I said notebook. I just love books. Notebooks. It's time for you to take a page out of Spider-Man's book, Oprah's book, Michael Jordan's book, Jesus's book, Steve Jobs' book. We're studying the wrong people. We're studying what we think is successful when you just take a step back and do a Google search. What's the most popular superhero franchise and why? USA Today says Spider-Man. Pulled up the gross numbers. What is the most successful religion? Christianity. Why? Oh, he was a carpenter. Oh, he hung out with poor people. He was the scapegoat. I feel like the scapegoat all the time. I'm being attacked all the time. I can relate to that. Jesus did not come up on a horse with a sword and the armor saying, I am the great Savior. That's why you should follow me. Now, yes, he would have had more than 12 followers if Jesus came up on the horse. Perfect specimen of a human being, had the armor and the sword and the beautiful white horse. Yeah, he probably would have had 10 to 20,000 people in the field listening to him. But when he died, his message probably would have died. because it was nothing like us. He would not have been able to leave us with the stories that we can relate to. So that is my episode on marketing. Please share this with somebody who is a young entrepreneur. Maybe it'll change their lives. This is the Charlie Rocket Show. I'm having the time of my life getting these thoughts out of my head. I have like 50 episodes planned. Just to let you guys know, you got us all the way to number 2 on the top charts in health. And I'll explain to you how the iTunes charts work. So there's an algorithm. And if a lot of people subscribe, rate, and review it, then it like weights it up and it moves it up the charts faster. So when I'm messaging my 500 people a day, like I'm using their name, I'm asking them like, can you please like rate? Like I'm very passionate about this. I'm just being honest. And you know, a lot of people they just like read it and they think it's a bot. And I'm like, no. This is not a bot. This is not some computer program sending you this message. Like, this is me because I want to be successful at this. And if you look at the dichotomy of that, 1, I'm being honest. I want to be successful and I'm passionate, so I'm reaching out. That's that I am you. 2, I'm boiling pots of water. I'm running that play, just picking 500 things a day, 500 people a day to reach out to. That's manageable. That's taking the pot out, putting the water in, and turning the heat on every day. That's something I can do. And I'm trying my best to move people closer to mom status by having a real conversation with people and showing them that I care. Hopefully, people will move closer to mom status and say, you know what? I support Charlie. So I'm not just going to preach to you guys how you should be successful. I'm going to live it, and I'm just going to talk to you about what I'm doing and what I've done. And I know this will help somebody and change somebody's life, and that's why I'm most excited about this podcast. The Charlie Rocket Show. Thank you guys for tuning in to the Charlie Rocket Show. I think I'm about to record another episode right after this. Rate, review, subscribe, all that good stuff. Find me on Instagram at Charlie and message me. Let's talk. You know, that's what I built my entire life off of. And it's not going to end anytime soon. And it's not just to make money. It is to create an impact in this world. All right. That's this episode. Check it out.